I spent the last 3 days working on this remake. I definitely spent way too much time on it.
Everybody fucking jump.
What? Yo, what? Kruth, did you just make festival house or whatever you call that genre? What? Yes, I did. I was inspired because first, I was super sad because Ultra happened down the street from my motherfucking condo and I didn't go to it. I didn't get invited to it. I didn't play at it and I was down the street from it. Next year! Sorry. We gotta make it happen, guys. We gotta make it happen. Next year, I'm breaking the fucking camera. Anyway, whatever. I could literally hear the fucking bass all the way from here. I was like, damn, that shit is loud. But I also realized that on the main stage, all they played was basically this type of music. So I was like, you know what? Let me try. Let me try to make this. And so I did. And from this, we bring you a brand new pack called House Hits. I've had this concept for over a year. I didn't do it because I was procrastinating like a little bitch, but it's here. Fucking the pack is here. All of the samples that you're gonna hear in here, all the samples in here are coming from House Hits and the presets are coming from Ultra. Let's get into this bitch. We're gonna get into the intro, then build up, and then finally the drop. For the intro, we have two instruments. This serum patch, not that one. Very nice. I like. I'm going to show you how to make this sound. Super simple, okay? So you start with a blank patch. You're going to turn up the unison. Now we're going to grab this LFO and use it as an envelope. Bring this down, bring that up, and we're going to create a little bit of a curve. So now you just change the waveform. You get different tonalities. So that's what I did for this sound. You can find this sound inside my new pack Ultra, and it's basically the same idea with another oscillator on and these effects. For this remake, I followed along what I think are the same chords, but with a slightly different pattern variation, but it's really pretty much the same. Then I was like, you know what? It's a little bit of a thinny sound. Let me add another sound on it. I got this free piano from Spitfire Audio Labs. That's a nice piano. That's layered with the lead, and the only difference is that I made these notes a little bit shorter so that there's a little bit of a break in between. So it's a little bit more transient-y. I'll show you what it would sound like if it was all together. Versus you hear the choppiness, and that is basically the first 4 bars of the song. We're actually not remaking the extended mix. We're remaking the radio edit. If you wanted to do the extended mix, I think you would start with like the beat and shit like that, but I personally like the radio edit. I like radio edits, and that's because I don't DJ that much, but I'm starting to. That's why that motherfucker's right there, right behind me. Because we're playing shows this year, baby. 100%. Catch me at your local rave. The second part of the intro, we introduce 3 more elements. The first element that gets introduced is a transition effect. Right? You can get this from the pack, or you can just grab a cymbal, reverse it, add a big reverb to it, and then maybe like a limiter to control it and also bring up the reverb tail, and you should be able to make transitions like this. After that, the next element that we're introducing is this background bass. I like to call these background basses. It's just one note because that's what the original track was doing. So now with the chords and the transition and the bass, we have this. So the last element that we're introducing in this intro is the vocals, but they're not completely audible because we're using a EQ to introduce them. So I'm using this EQ here where you can see I've cut out the lows and I'm also cutting out the highs, but they'll open up. And these vocals are actually from a super old song, which I guess is not that old, but it's kind of old. And it's called Pump It Up. And it's from Ultra Music Records. It was But a lot of Ultra vibes, as you can tell, because that shit was this weekend and I wasn't there and I was sad about it. Okay, shut up, Alex. Stop being such a depressed little bitch. Yo, what if we make that a goal? Get a record signed on Ultra. If this video gets... I want to give you guys a really hard number. Okay, so right now the channel is at 40-something thousand subscribers. So let's say 10% of you. If this video gets 4,000 likes, I will send Ultra a record every month until they sign a single. Fuck it. Then we get into the build-up. Now introducing build-up effects. Okay, so we have this riser I made. As well as this other one. And I actually made this one in Serum, and it's also available inside Ultra. Some noise. Some claps with reverb on them. And then a snare. This is the actual MIDI notes from the snare buildup. You can do more to the snares, I think. Maybe even remove the low end as it goes up. I guess we can do that. So we'll take a snare bus here. And by the way, guys, this FL Studio template is available for my Patreons, as well as the entire project. I was gonna tell you that later, but might as well just tell you now. The entire project is available on Patreon. If you want to download it, let's go to ProQ and let's put a low cut. Let's highlight it here. Now we can create an automation clip and just have the snare. All right, cool. So that's the snares. By the way, I also wanted to plug this in really quick because it's something that I've been developing. I've started working on this MIDI build-up pack. So basically just a bunch of MIDI files that you can drag and drop and have a bunch of options for build-ups. The possibilities are kind of endless. Instead of using loops like this, which is cool too, and you can get this loop inside house hits, I think it's also cool to have the MIDIs because then you can do like any tempo and then any sound. So if you want to be the first to get that, make sure you sign up to the mailing list at threatcollective.us. The last thing that's going on, at least for composition in the build-up, is the end of the build-up. I took the vocals, chopped up the first syllable.
Don't you know?
All right, and as you can tell, brought the filter thing down. Now, there is more. The washout effect on the chords. So they kind of fade out. Okay, this washout effect does this. Look, I'll show you. So it washes the sound out. There are other plugins that do this. I'm pretty sure you can find a free option online, but this one is from Patcherax Volume 1. Also, a little bit of volume automation for the chords as it gets towards the end of the buildup. You can see I brought down the volume just a little bit, as well as automation for the bass. Super long background bass is decreasing in volume as we head towards the end of the buildup. So this macro here that you can see that is decreasing towards the end of the buildup is actually controlling the curve of the synth. So that's what it's doing as it's getting closer to the end of the buildup. That's pretty much it for the buildup, guys, and the intro. That's fucking everything. Now we're gonna talk about the pre-drop. Really only has 3 elements. This impact, these 2 snare rolls, right? So it's this snare fill and then this fill together. Again, both from House Hits. And finally, another sample from House Hits. Bro, I literally heard this. The pre-drop that I heard the most from Ultra, just from chilling my condo and hearing it happen down the street, was 3, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3. Like, that's the one I heard the most. Okay, so you bet your ass we have some of those in the pack. But I really like this one. This is probably my favorite.
Everybody fucking jump.
And one of my greatest memories of a concert was when I was like 16 or 17 and I went to a Porter Robinson M Machine college concert. There was a moment that I'll never forget. The whole crowd was jumping, bro. We were all in sync. It was so beautiful. It was such a beautiful moment. So I really like this pre-drop and I love jumping in sync with people. Now we get into the drop.
Everybody fucking jump.
Okay, we're gonna start with the drums. You have to have a powerful kick. Even though the original is probably more professional than mine, I really like my kick. A clap every other beat. A sweep every other clap. I'm also automating a low pass kind of filter on the kick. So every time the clap hits, we leave some space on that high end for the clap to have its own space. Then we have a cymbal hitting on the first beat of the first bar and the first beat of the fifth bar. At the end of every 4 bars, we have a snare roll. So on the 8th bar, we cut out the kick, the snare, the sweeps, and hit them with one other snare roll. Or snare fill, whatever you want to call this. On the second section of the drums, we introduce hats. We're introducing a hat in between every beat. Layered that with another hat because I just needed a little bit more space. This one's a little bit bigger. Right after that, we have another kind of soft hat, which is a hat with no transient. I think this is like the basic kind of nice, energetic hat groove. Of course, you can use like any hat loops from the internet, chop up and go to town, just make whatever you want. I'm sure they layered a bunch of hat loops and shit. I just wanted to show you a basic one that you can go to. The next element on the second section of the drop is this vocal, which sounds sick. And then downlifter. White noise, baby, going down. Yeah, you can never go wrong with that. Super awesome. Now we're gonna get into the main drop, bass, and synths. This sound consists of 3 layers. We have a sub bass layer, a brass synth layer, and the same brass synth layer, just 1 octave higher. So we'll talk about the first one that I made, which is this one, and it's available in Ultra. Obviously, I called it Pump because it's inspired by that sound in there. I think it's fucking sick, dude. You can use any brass preset that you can find. This one is just sick. I'm not gonna lie. I like it. This is the MIDI. Super badass. That's the original, and I made a couple different like variations. And then I was like, how come it doesn't have the same energy? Like, let me play with the drum. And this is the original. And I was like, what the fuck? It's the same sound. Why is the energy not the same? Then I wrote another melody. And that's when I realized that when you look at these notes, they go up and then start from the bottom and go up again. And there's a little variation. Start at the bottom, go up, start at the bottom, go up. So the notes are kind of like going up. On this other one that didn't have the same energy, the goes are going up and down, down and kind of up. And then it's all over the place. And in this one, it's kind of going up. So then when I realized that, I was like, all right, let me try to make another melody that just constantly goes up, but it takes longer to go up. And I really liked it. If this video gets 4,000 likes, I'm gonna use this motherfucking melody for the Ultra record, guys. But anyway, we're gonna go back to the original and talk about the rest of the layers. So this is the first layer with this patch. So I duplicated the patch, I pasted the same exact MIDI, and I just bumped it up 1 octave. And together, and then I grabbed a simple sub bass preset. Again, this one is available inside Ultra, and now it sounds like this. All right, now let's talk about the processing. This is actually going through a multi-band compressor, a limiter, and a reverb. So when I turn these off, turn them on, I have saved this patcher preset as Brass Thickifier, and I'll leave a free download link in the description if you wanted to get this preset. The only other effects that I've put as well is this Soothe, because I love Soothe, and this meticulously edited. When I take it off, it's not a big difference, but in the full context of the mix, it just made it way better. So what I did is I loaded up a span on the master, and I just compared the waveforms of the original with the ones from my remake. That's what I did, and that's why you see some of these EQ decisions. Then we have the sub, which I've cut out all the high end from and put a Pro L on. You don't have to use these third-party plugins. I'm sure you could do it with FL Studio stock plugins. And all of that is being sidechained. By going into the sidechain channel, I just automated the volume knob here in this Fruity Balance with this shape right here. So flat, completely flat, and then going up. The final thing from this remake is this lead with a shit ton of reverb on it. Just a lot of reverb on it. And that's also available inside Ultra. Didn't mention this, but the drums have some EQing, bringing up some of the highs, a limiter, which I've already explained this in like every tutorial. You guys already know. I turn up the ceiling, bring down the saturation a little bit, and then bring up the gain. I think this is, I love it. I love doing that. And then a Pro L just to be safer, I guess. One final thing is that on the master, I put a Fruity Balance to bring down the volume here. You can see this dip right here is bringing down the master volume before the pre-drop. And this, let me change the color so you can see it better. This one, it is the stereo separation. So it's actually controlling this knob inside the stereo enhancer and bringing it closer to the mono side. So that is basically narrowing down the signal. So it's not stereo, it's making it more narrow. And that way, when the drop hits and it becomes wide again, because you can see here, it's back to being in the middle, it just feels like a bigger drop. That is it. That is everything I did to make this remake. I hope you guys learned something. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Dude, just like the video, it doesn't even take that long, especially if it inspired you. You're like, yo, you know what? I think I could do this. Let's listen to the whole thing, to our little remake that we're eventually gonna send to Ultra.
Everybody fucking jump.
Yeah. All right. As always, this project's available for my Patreons. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next shit. Peace. I think I was doing too much. I was doing too much for the channel, and I ended up hurting the channel. I'm just gonna go back to just talking to you guys, not care so much about like being fast paced and retention and all this fucking bullshit. Like, I think we had a good time when I just sat down here and I explained to you guys the production techniques that I learned through these remakes.